wasn't it? Okay, I'm back. I'm back with a follow up to the override. The override vote was yesterday. The override failed. If you didn't hear, it was 417 in the affirmative. 417 people voted yes, we want an override. We want our taxes to go up. But a whole 947 people showed up and voted no, I don't want my taxes to go up. Nope. I think that that's better than 2 to 1. For those that need a math lesson, I don't know the exact percentage here. I just don't feel like doing it. But you can do the math if you want. Um, but either way, it's a resounding no. It wasn't close. We had a close vote few times ago where it lost by one after a recount. It won by one, then it lost after the recount. That was the closest I've seen in an override vote I can think of. But but the last few have been pretty resounding. Absolutely not. We don't want to play this game anymore. And I know for me, it was because the select board has been much less than forthcoming about what they're doing. Everything is such a secret, and it really concerned me. Um, and I noticed that I posted my comments, or I posted the override results last night once I received them and put them on a couple of different places on Facebook. And most people, liked my post. One person was in tears. So I think, and that's the only one out of many likes that said, that they seem to be sad because the override failed. I have a solution for those of you who are disappointed. Since you have the money, you are willing to spend the money on an override. Look up. I think that the Board of Selectmen had said that it was $75 a year on average now. You should go. There is a formula to determine how much your taxes would have gone up if the override had passed. And I think 75 is the average. So if you've got a really nice house, like 800,000 and more, then yours is probably over 100 a year. Smaller houses, $200,000-300,000 houses are probably more around 50. So you pick your number, or just whatever number you go high. Just up it. Do a higher number. And what you can do is you can make a donation to the town. It's tax deductible, not on your. It's not deductible from your property taxes because it's in addition. It is deductible on your income taxes. You can look that up in the instructions on IRS 1040, the instructions, and you can enter a search term. And I don't know what you have to put in, but donations, it's under donations, under charitable donations somewhere. And you just can put in, donations to a municipality or any level of government. You can make a donation to a town, a state, or the federal treasury. Um, these are all donations that are tax deductible as long as you can you have to do the Schedule A stuff, so you have to be able to deduct, if you're itemizing your deductions, you can take a tax deductible donation for a municipality. So if you want to donate that amount that you would have paid on the override, you want to help the town out, then feel free. I encourage you, and I'm sure that the select board would like to see this too. I mean, anytime, go down to the treasurer's office or call them up and ask them if there's a form or something. I don't, because you want to get a receipt and you want to make sure it goes in as a donation. So I have not spoken to the treasurer about the process. I'm sure it's simple. I'm sure they don't get a lot of people doing this, but I'm sure you won't be the first one in the world that's done this. But feel free. It would be helpful, I'm certain, to go down and get on the treasurer's office and tell her you want to make a donation. to the town. You can put it in your will too. You can make an endowment. You can do all kinds of stuff, and it's all tax deductible. So that's my solution for those of you that are very disappointed that the overrides just we can't seem to pass an override. If you got the bucks, donate it to the town. You were willing to do it. I don't know how many overrides you've said yes to, but if you're willing to do an override, then you're still willing, right? You're still willing to pay this extra money to the town. So I encourage you, in fact, I ask you to just go down to the treasurer's office and write her a check. Get a receipt. Get a receipt so that it is a donation, that you're not paying for something that you owe money. The IRS won't take your receipt if it doesn't say that you've donated it. They'll think you just paid the tax or something. So make sure you get the right paperwork, but make a donation. You can, I think you might even be able to say what you want the donation to go to, which department's budget. I don't know about that. I'm not sure. But you can get all those questions answers with the treasurer. But I really, I mean, I'm being, some people will probably say, Cindy's being so funny, but I'm serious. This is not a bad thing. People do it. People make donations. People leave their whole estate to towns or city, towns, city, states, something place that they feel, really important. I'm gonna go over to immigration for a moment. There's a lot of people that came to this country with nothing, built their wealth, and left their entire estate, huge estates, to the United States government because they were so grateful for the help that they received from the government and their ability to, anybody, we used to say anybody can make it. And everybody has the same opportunities. The opportunities we have here in the United States are great. And people who go from nothing, especially immigrants, will leave their entire estate, millions, to the government or some level of government to thank them. It's gratitude donation. They don't leave it to their family; they leave it to the government, which is kind of cool. But I'm gonna go back to Townsend. Okay, don't get me going. Don't attack me over immigration, please. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to talk about Townsend's budget. So here we are. The override failed. I'm asking you to donate whatever it was you were willing to pay to the town. Donate it to the treasurer. Go down to the treasurer, write those checks, and write it, make it an annual donation. Do it every year. And you can donate. I don't even know if there's a limit. I don't think there is. But if you're short on making enough, when you're doing itemized deductions, I know a lot of you might pay people to do your taxes and you don't even know what I'm talking about. But if you do your own taxes, I'm a cheapskate, so I've always done my own taxes. I think I paid once and I said, what am I paying for this for? So I always did my own. Even through self-employment, I did my own taxes. Yes, I did shortchange myself a few times, but I got over it. But in order to itemize your deductions, you have to exceed the standard deduction, which it goes up every year. The standard deduction now is somewhere north of $15,000. So you have to have like $15,000 worth of deductions before there's any point in itemizing, because you're already getting it. It's already fixed into the formula already. But if you're itemizing, like if you have a house that you're paying a mortgage on, like you're not at the end of your mortgage, you're somewhere in the first half of your mortgage, you're paying out your butt, right? You're paying interest and you're paying taxes. What else? Plus, excise tax. You're paying if you're in a union, you got union dues. You got medical expenses that exceed 2% of your income, or that might have gone up a little bit. I don't know. I haven't looked at it. I haven't studied this, and you might have other charitable contributions. If all those expenses today with houses cost, yeah, if you got one of those $800,000 houses, you are itemizing your deduction because you're paying a lot in mortgage interest and property taxes. So you can, I'm certain that you're able to itemize. If you're close, just increase your charitable contribution to bring you a couple $100 over the standard deduction, so that you'll have extra benefit, right? That, and you can help that town out even more. See, some of you think I'm joking. I'm not. This is serious business. The Board of Selectmen is desperate to find $248,000. I think that was the amount. I don't even know. Before 6 o'clock tonight, and it is 4 o'clock. It's 4:09. It's 16:09 for those of you on the 24-hour clock. But they got a couple hours to find $200,000. So if everybody runs down to town hall and writes a check, you might save them. They won't have to try to figure this out, because they have been. I swear they have no idea what they're doing, and they have no idea what they're going to do, or they're just going to do something out of spite. I don't know, but they should have known this had no chance of passing. I'm tired of us spending money on elections. I think it's somewhere around, maybe more than $8,000 every time we have an election. So yesterday's little game was over $8,000 between the paying all those people taking our names and giving us ballots. Harrison had to pay them. All these machines. Then the printing of the ballots. Printing things cost a lot of money, and he had to order enough ballots, and make sure that he had enough. He can't run out. You cannot run out of ballots. And then the big expense. You'll love this one. You might know, or you might not know, if you've been following what's going on in this town. You should know, and I want you to know, that the Board of Selectmen, yes, them, they did it again. A few months ago, they did away with constables. Forever probably, we had constables, and they would kind of stand guard and over, if we had an election, the constable, well, mostly one, um, what's her last name is Dole. Michelle Dole, is that her name? She was our constable for a long time, one of our constables, and she would hang out at the election all day and hope everybody stays in line, which usually that's not a problem. And she would go to town meeting and get paid a reasonable amount, not a lot, but and and also, if you need to serve legal papers on someone, she would take care of it for you. That was her job. You have to have a constable or law enforcement. In our law enforcement, well, it has to be a sheriff. Our local law enforcement can't do it, our cops. So it has to be, if you need now, but the Board of Selectmen decided they don't want constables anymore, so they got rid of them. We don't have any. So for the election, we had to pay, I think it was around $1,500 to have an officer there all day from 8 to 8. 12 hours of detail fee. So 12 hours of overtime for a police officer to hang out at the polls. Before, the number I was given was, if we had Michelle there, it would be 200. So that's an additional expense. That's for all elections, not just yesterday. This is moving forward. Guys, the police officers don't mind getting the overtime. That's an easy detail. Are you kidding me? Hang out and talk to everybody? Sure. Cool, I'll do it. Makes you want to be a cop. Damn. Just to do the details. So, but as a side note on constables, if you have legal papers that you need to serve, now you have to call the Middlesex County Sheriff's Office to make the delivery. And somebody told me, I don't know how true it is or if it's always true, but they said it's a 2-week wait. So if you're in a hurry to get something served, it ain't happening. You're just going to have to trust the mail. If something's legally required to be served, I don't know what you're going to do, but 2 weeks. If it can't be urgent. I remember in my lifetime, I've had a couple of urgent matters. not too many. And 2 weeks, no way. I mean, I don't know what you do. I mean, I don't know. Lawyers are probably screaming, and it costs a lot more to pay a sheriff than it does to pay a constable. That's another thing. So I'll get off constables, but that's something you should be aware of on this crazy budget issue, that we're just increasing costs to give police officers overtime. I really think that that's why they did it, so that they could pay cops more overtime. I really do believe that was the purpose and why the select board decided to do that. Because they started doing it when Joe and Chaz were on there. That's where they started the whole dialogue. And Veronica put it through, made it happen. Don't ask me. So I want to tell you that we got through this override thing, but we're not out of the woods yet, because the select board has to find 200 and something $1,000 now because they over budgeted. Of course, that's the whole deal here. So they have a meeting tonight at 6 o'clock. What time? It's 4:15 or not 16:15. I have everything. See, I'm retired military, so I've been retired for over 20 years, right? Yeah, 30, almost 30 years I've been retired. But I like the 24-hour clock. If I take a nap, I can look at my watch and I know whether it's morning or night. What? 24-hour clock, I love it. So everything, watches, computer, everything is set on the 24-hour clock. So anyway, it's 16:15, 16 up, or 4:16 for those of you who don't use that clock. So, and the select board are meeting at 6. So, and I'm going to be zooming in and recording. That'll be my first time. I'm doing. Oh, I gotta go get my tripod. Okay. Anyway, it'll work. We'll get it done. I'm not going live. I screwed that up so badly when I did the fire thing. I'm not. No, I'm just gonna stick with recording, doing a preview, and going from there. That's enough fun. Enough fun for one day. And that way, if I make a fatal error, I can delete it. I can edit it out. Excuse me. And then with tonight's select board meeting, they have an executive session scheduled, and I'll get to that. But sometimes what they've been doing is having the executive session like in the middle. They got it listed on their agenda on the bottom, but what they often do is they vote to move it up, and they'll leave the meeting for like an hour and go into executive session and then have everybody come back. And if I'm doing something live, oh, that's a pain. I mean, hello. I know none of you are going to sit around for an hour while I'm on hold. Like I'm looking at a blank screen of Zoom people who are just waiting. I know you don't want to do that, and I don't want to do that. I can pause my video or whatever. I can do, I don't know what I can, but I don't have to deal with that. I mean, oh my God. I could do 2 videos and put it together later. I mean, I have much more options if I do record premiere like an hour after the meet. I suspect tonight will be a long meeting. So, because there's a lot of things on the agenda, I'm about to show you the agenda. So, but you know what's not on the agenda? Guess. The override. The fact that we had an election yesterday. The budget's not on the agenda. Nowhere. Nowhere, nowhere, nowhere. There's an executive session listed where it's supposed to be something with preparing for negotiations with the unions, which this has been an ongoing issue that I've had and some other people have had, and you should have an issue with this, that they're going into executive session to discuss the budget. And that's not what it says on the agenda. But they're using that excuse. Oh, but we have to do the budget. We got to know this is all part of negotiating with the unions because that's who we have to work with. in order to adjust the budget to deal with the fact that we don't have an override. I call BS on this. I already filed an open meeting law complaint a couple months ago on the first time they did this, when it was quite obvious that they went in and their primary purpose was to come up with the budget, and they came up with the budget. I mean, it's like, it's all on video. Why are you doing this? And they really think they were okay, and they keep doing it. And we won't know for like maybe 5 months, 4 or 5 months from now, because the Attorney General's office seems to be swamped on dealing with open meeting law complaints. But I only filed one. I'm not filing an open meeting law complaint every meeting that they do this. I've only found the one. They're not going to stop because they think they're doing okay. So, I've been filing a lot of open meeting law complaints on different things. And I don't know, but that's where I think they're going to talk about the budget. They do not have one word about the budget or one word about the override election on the agenda. And they did the agenda just 2 days ago, which was Monday. So there's no reason. I mean, it makes no sense to me that they would have preliminarily, is that a word? Put just a line on the agenda somewhere, probably early on, high up at the beginning of the agenda, to just, you don't have to have details, but you just say, we want to just have a conversation. We're just going to talk about what happened at the election. They had to put up the agenda before the election. In order to meet the open meeting law, you need 48 hours notice on whatever's going to be on the agenda. But they could have put on the agenda a line that says, override election discussion. And if they were going to openly discuss the budget, that should have been another line, or more explanatory on the override discussion about, we're going to, you don't have to say what your decisions are already, but you're going to say, how we're going to implement the changes and initiate that conversation. Because I know that some of the budgetary changes have not been related to the unions. So doing union negotiations as an excuse to discuss the budget just really is upsetting to me. And I think it's corrupt. It's corrupt. And it's no transparency. When they first took office, oh yeah, we're all this transparency nonsense. No, you're probably reducing transparency each and every meeting. It's getting worse. I mentioned open meeting law complaints. I lost count. I've lost count. I keep getting. I have to sort my emails out because it's like, all right, I get an email from the Attorney General. It's like, all right, what is it? Which one are you talking to me about? Oh, did I file that? Okay. And because it's just, I've got so many. I've got 2 open meeting law complaints I filed in January that the AGO has not, the Attorney General's office, AGO, has not made their determinations yet. One was against the Housing Trust, and one was against the Board of Selectmen. And it all was happening at the same meeting. It's kind of convoluted. This could be why that they're taking so long, because they're trying to figure out. It's 2 different lawyers that are assigned, so I don't know. We'll see. I think they're trying to piece it together and decide how they're going to even approach it. It's strange. Well, one of them, the Housing Trust, did respond to my open meeting law complaint, but the AG hasn't determined it. On the select board one, the select board ignored it, even though Veronica Kell was the subject of the complaint on both meetings. I don't know. So Laura Schifrin, as the chair, has just neglected her duties badly. So I fully expect the town to be fined on that one. And it's a minimum, it's usually a first offense, 200. And I think we're certainly going to be fined, because if you don't respond, I mean, responding to an open meeting law complaint when you're a town official is required. You can't ignore it. Well, nope, unless you're in Townsend. Townsend has ignored 3 open meeting law complaints that I filed. 3. First one was in January. Then I didn't file anything until April. Everything seemed to be quiet on the open meeting law front for a few months. Maybe they just weren't doing anything. I don't know. I mean, if there were open meeting law complaints that I could have filed, I missed them, or I wasn't paying that much. I wasn't. I don't sit there looking. Let me see. Are they going to violate the open meeting law? Can I write them up for this? I don't do that. I mean, usually I'm filing on flagrant violations of the open meeting law. I may have a couple going in on 2 different other boards that I've never written them up before, but I'm going to hold off on giving you any information about that because I'm not sure. I haven't decided. I should. To be fair, I should. But anyway, back to the select board. So then I have one from May and one from June. I think they're both May and June that Laura Schiffern, as the chair of the board, just ignored. And all the 3 that she ignored, because they did respond to 1 or 2 of them. Can't remember. I did one in April. Oh, I did in April and May, and then there were 2 in May and June. See, it's like I gotta like, how many do I have? I don't even know. I have to, because it's not like I'm being a jerk and just filing open meeting law complaints. They're violating the open meeting law, and I'm complaining about it. So there's 2, and where they've just gone into the AGO's file or progress, whatever they're doing, and it's going to be close to. It could be Christmas before we'll get a determination on those. But because the chair of the board of selectmen ignored them, and they have not followed. They're supposed to respond within a couple of weeks. No, it's been over a month on both of them. So I anticipate fines of up to $1,000 each because it won't be the first time. And the attorney general is reaching out to her, and she's not taking the calls. She's not responding to emails. The attorney general has even reached out to town council, and town council hasn't responded. Well, and I think that town council can't respond without the board asking them to. They can't just independently say, "Oh yeah, I'll get on this." Nope, I don't. They can't really engage. The board has to authorize that. But the attorney, our town council has been informed by the AG now. I mean, everything's going to more people so that somebody will knock some sense into the board of selectmen because they're not budging. And there's a reason why I'm bringing up this open meeting law stuff right now, and has to do with the meeting that's coming up in an hour and a half, the board of selectmen. I promised you a few minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, that I'm going to pull up the agenda. So we're going to go through that quickly. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. I don't have a lot of time, so because I got to get ready. But the agenda is interesting. So let me pull that up. Is this the one? There it is. Okay, you got that? Can you see that? Let me see if I can make this a little bigger. Sometimes I have a big fail when I do this. Is that better? I'm on a smaller screen. Everything's shrunk in front of me. I don't have a big screen here. It looks, hopefully you can see that. Let me try a little bit more. Hopefully I didn't knock you out of the park. Okay, there it is. All right. So here we are. There's the agenda. Let me look at one more thing real quick. Oh, it's not moving. Darn it. Hold on. Oh. All right, I'm going to take this down. Don't ask me what I did. Share screen. Somehow I have the agenda. I must have the agenda on two different. Yes. Okay, I've got it up there now. Sorry about that. I must have had it in two different windows because it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. Okay, so here we are. We got the usual beginnings. Preliminaries, votes may be taken, yada, yada, yada. Then we have Pledge of Allegiance, appreciations. Oh my. I noticed Laura didn't mention veterans last time. We'll get into that. If she does it again today, I'm going to make it an issue. As I think I know why. Anyway, announce the meeting is being recorded and uploaded to YouTube. And confirm if other parties are recording. This is where I'm going to have fun tonight. Um, oh boy, watch. You should watch this meeting. Chairman's additions and deletions, which they really can't add too much because it has to be an emergency. They can't just feel like adding things. So I want to, before we go too far, if you look up the highlighted section here, that's the login for Zoom. It's easiest if you go to the zoom.com or whatever it is, and you join a meeting from there. I do not recommend using the Zoom link. It's much better for you and everybody. It works better. You have more user options as well. If you like putting your name in, changing your name, having your audio on, off, video on, off, you have much more control if you don't do the Zoom link, if you just log in directly to Zoom with these username and password. So there's my advertisement for Zoom. Not paid. I'm not getting paid for this video. I'm not monetized, just in case. You can donate. The information is on my page. So if you want to donate to me, you can. It's not tax deductible. Donating to me is not tax deductible. I will. You'll get a receipt. Yes, you will. All right. Although you could give me some money. No, never mind. Okay. Review, approve the meeting minutes. They don't have any meeting minutes. So that's another open meeting law complaint I filed today. They're behind on their meeting minutes. They're supposed to do them within 30 days or 3 meetings. They are 3 months behind. Yep. Okay. They're going to have a wanted poster for me. All right. Appointments. They're going to do, they're going to give TEO a liquor license. I don't know if I'd like that. TEO needs a liquor license? Well, okay. On the common. We're serving booze on the common now? Okay. I'm making jokes. All right. I'm not complaining. TEO, Kim, Kelly, get over it. Don't get mad. I'm just making jokes. Okay. I understand it's a fundraiser. You're not the first organization to have this. I'm just making jokes. Okay. I'm feeling silly today. Now we have oh boy, this is going to be an issue when we do the video on the select board meeting. This is going to be an issue. It's an issue. Oh my gosh. But the Board of Selectmen, independent of the wishes of the Historic District Commission, is appointing 3 people to the Historic District Commission tonight. The Historic District Commission is not being allowed to have any input in this conversation, but I have word that there will be members of the Historic District Commission there anyway, because Laura Schifrin is on the Historic District Commission, but she's not the chair or anything. She's just a member. But let's just move on. Jeez. Select board goals for fiscal year 26. I am afraid to ask. What do they want to destroy next? I'm sure that number 1 is going to be try to get an override passed this year. I know it. Don't you? Because they don't understand it. They can't take no for an answer. It's like my cat. Okay. Second reading of animals in public buildings. That one just cracks me up. Oh, status update on grants. I want to pay attention to that one. There's probably just as many grants that we've just ignored and not put in for than grants that might have some benefit to us. just makes me ill. Makes me ill. Open and closing of special town meeting. You know what? Going back to grants, it reminds me. It's on a slightly different subject, but I'm going to sound like certain people on the board of selectmen for a minute. Volunteers. We need. There are some boards that are vacant, have nobody on them. That we could be getting grants if we had these positions filled. Going way back to 2018, I think it was, I got through onto town meeting and it passed uh, disability commission. And I pushed that because I knew that there were grants. There's a lot that can be done if we have a disability commission. And what that does, what they do is they just very generally, but they kind of can, they address, policies and building stuff to do with town buildings, or even dealing with complaints when people out in town are trying to get into a coffee shop, or there's a police cruiser parked in the disabled parking. I mean, things like that. I mean, that was going on a few years ago, and a disabled. I remember there's this disabled man who was complaining all the time, and I don't know. I I don't know where he went. I hope he's okay. But anyway, but if we had a disability commission, we would be able to. They could, even without grants, they'd be looking at how can we make Townsend more accessible um, for the disabled, and not necessarily construction projects, but just policy projects. Looking at what policies can we have, and there's all kinds of issues like are our town meetings in public meetings accessible, and that includes the blind, the deaf, people that have mobility impairment. Do we have, you know, are we following the law on different things that are out there? And, and can we make other changes that can be made? Are there things that, and then getting grants. And some grants, you don't necessarily have to have a disability commission to get grants, but it moves you up on the list. And so I would really like to see people putting in volunteer forms for the disability commission. Um, you don't have to be disabled to be on that commission, but it is recommended that at least one member be disabled, so that, and it doesn't matter what your disability is, okay? Um, I even want to reach out to the people who have mental illness and who have disabilities for that, um, because that's another class where there are things in town that might be important for the mentally disabled or family members. Even like we talk about, every now and then we hear the police talking about, dealing with autistic people, and I think that all that kind of stuff. But wheelchair accessibility, just, you don't even have to be wheelchair bound. I mean, there are so many disabilities that we don't necessarily think about all the time, and we just take it for granted. We go along our day, but this commission would be really superb if we could get it staffed. I haven't looked at it lately. I think it's a 5-member board commission. It would be appointed by the Board of Selectmen, but I I want to personally ask people to sign up for that commission. I think it's not, it shouldn't have a lot of animosity stuff, and I don't believe. I mean, sometimes people get riled up on things, but and you're able to possibly get working on grant stuff, and you don't have to know how to do a grant to get on that commission. But I just want to put out a holler for people to sign up for that commission. I think it would be really a really good thing for the town if people got on that commission. Okay, that's my advertisement on that. We're going to go back through here. Okay. Opening and closing of the special town meeting. They're scheduling a special town meeting for the fall. I think it's actually being planned for the end of September. Oh yes, because we have to have a special town meeting because we have to pass the MBTA communities thing. We have to do the next phase. And I'm going to advocate for that passage too. Please pass that. But anyway, we have to have a special time meeting. We have a deadline. So we're going to have a special town meeting in the middle of nowhere to get that done. So they'll be discussed. They're not going to. I don't think they're going to say much about it because there might be controversy. Anyway, Community Compact Grant Phase 2 Fiber Contract. Not sure. I'm thinking has something to do with fiber optics and communications. I think this is an abbreviated thingy. And it looks like Phase 2. I don't know if we've had something with this before. They'll explain it. We'll go over that later. And then we apparently town meeting we voted to spend a lot of money on a new dump truck. So now we have an old dump truck. So they have to vote. Well, I don't know. Maybe this is the new dump truck. I don't know which dump truck this is, but they have to determine the useful life, and this is to defraud the loan. I'm saying that. It's just my language. I'm being sarcastic, but vote to as to useful life. And I'm going to be watching this very carefully. I hope they're not doing what they were kind of talking about 6 months ago or 4 months ago to determine the useful life of the dump truck, because that will matter on the length of the loan. And if they're playing funny business here, I'd rather that they didn't, because in my opinion, we have too many loans out. We borrowed too much money that we're not even paying the principal on some of these loans. We're only paying interest. And I can prove that. Uh, that so extending, we need to buckle down and stop spending money that we don't have and pay off some of our debt. We have a lot of debt, people. Okay. Then they're going to review and discuss public comment policy. Veronica Kell is going to tell everybody why she doesn't want it. And I really don't care. I don't care. I do not give a rat's ass. I really do. I wish we could have a public comment policy. You know why? I want to give you an example. You know the town of Canton. You know if I wouldn't want to be on the board of selectmen in Canton, that's for sure. But I have to give them credit. I am giving this town a lot of credit. I mean, we joke about who's the most corrupt town in Massachusetts, and Canton is, rising to the top, and with the Karen Read stuff. But if you followed the Karen Read trial and you've watched everybody's YouTube stream on this stuff, you've watched more than one Canton Select Board meeting, and throughout all this Karen Read stuff and Turtle Boy and this and that, they have had a fully functional public comment period that has been well managed by the Board of Selectmen. They get, sometimes it's testy, but they do it properly. The Board of Selectmen, even Chris Albert, the Board of Selectmen and the town of Canton have managed their public comment policy with excellence. And the townspeople who come in, you don't even have to live there. You don't have to live anywhere. If you don't have to be a resident to go to a select board meeting in any town. But the people that have gone to speak at the select board meeting under the public comment period have 99.9% of the time done it exactly the way it's supposed to be done and followed the policy and did their thing and stopped when they had to. But the public comment policy can be managed. This board, Veronica Kell doesn't want to hear from you if she doesn't agree with you. She doesn't want, and that's really what I've experienced with that woman. I've watched it. She's disrespectful to anybody who's speaking, even if they're a professional. But in Canton, and this is how it's supposed to be done. This isn't like only in Canton. This is the public, what all the lawyers will tell select board members. When you have a public comment period, it's a public comment period. It's not a public engagement policy. You let a citizen, you have to set a time limit. Like you say, okay, you can talk for 2 minutes. I think sometimes it's three, but let's just say it's two, just for simplicity. You citizen gets up to the mic, it's their turn to speak. You can speak about anything. Has nothing to do with the agenda. I want to talk about parking in Townsend. I'm going to talk about that for 2 minutes. Or I'm going to talk about why, how come the board, I could have 2 minutes worth of questions. I can complain about the open meeting law. I can complain about, I don't know, anything. I could talk about the weather. I could talk about, gee, it's a good thing we didn't get a tsunami. I mean, I could talk about anything for 2 minutes without interruption, without, as long as I'm not threatening somebody, I'm not doing something illegal. You can even swear. It's the First Amendment protects your right to swear. But the they can't stop you, and I mean that. I mean that sincerely. But the 2 minutes you are commenting. There's no discourse. The select board should not say a word except, Cindy, your time's up. You've been speaking. And they have a timer. They should have a timer. Your 2 minutes is up. Cindy, your time's up. Okay, thank you. Some boards that have money, they have all this special fancy stuff. They can put one of those electronic clocks, like sometimes in courtrooms you could see when your 2 minutes are up. If you ever played chess, no. But you got to, you can see when your 2 minutes are up. But which is respectful. They should do that for you, because you're talking, you lose track of time. You get emotional about whatever it is you're talking about. But if Canton can do it, we can do it. And that's how I feel. If our Board of Selectmen can just not feel obligated to interfere with the public comment period, we could have one. And it's a period you actually assign. It's not throughout the meeting. They can't control. They have real problems controlling their meetings. But I know over the years, since Veronica got on the board the first time, I spoke at public hearings and she shut me down. And then would even tell me, nobody wants to hear from what you have to say, Cindy. And you're at a, you shouldn't be speaking about this at all. And that's not on the topic. It's like, yeah, it is. And you're shutting me off. I mean, I should have sued them. But you have, especially at a public hearing, you really need a designated amount of time, and you have the right to speak. It shouldn't be interrupted or interfered with and told that nobody wants to hear from you, or whatever you have to say doesn't matter. That's the kind of stuff that I usually have to put up with her. And so she doesn't want. And even in the last few months, as we were approaching the town meetings, I was mortified when I saw the finance. They had a joint meeting, and Veronica Kell and Laura Schifrin attacked members of the FinCom who were trying to ask questions, and they were just attacked by their question. And this doesn't matter, just belittling the FinCom. And that's why I don't think that they're not capable of managing a public comment period. Oh, we're pushing 5 o'clock here. All right. So then this one, review 4.8, review and discuss open meeting law complaint and public records request response processes. Now, what's interesting here is there are three, but really two current open meeting law complaints that they should be having a meeting to respond to. That's not what this looks like. They could use this 4.8. In my opinion, they can use this item. I'm not going to go into lengthy reasons why, but I won't complain if they do it. But this item is to discuss, what are we supposed to do when we get an open meeting law complaint? I don't understand. And this is what they're going to be discussing here, from what I can guess out of everything that's been going on. But what they should do, even though there were two recent open meeting law complaints that are late. They're recent. They would just become late. They were open for response up until last week. One of them this week, I think. I don't know. I'm losing. I've got so many of them hanging. They could still discuss those two complaints and prepare a response, or even make the vote to refer them to the town council to make a response. Now, something that can't happen with this, they cannot ask for an extension from the attorney general, but it's still possible that town council can jump through hoops and still respond, because the attorney general isn't going to make a determination on these complaints for months. So I don't see any reason why they can't still refer these to town council to prepare a response on the two late complaints. They could still do that. This is silly for this to be going on like this. So hopefully they've got smarts somewhere and they'll do that. I don't know. I really I don't have a lot of hope, because they did a few months ago. They did, I think, two or three. I don't remember, but they did responses for. I wasn't the only one that filed complaints, but oh, anyway. All right. So the next item is Highway Department Chapter 90 request for Apple Drive. If you live on Apple Drive, the Highway Department wants to fix your street. They want to repave it in some way. So good luck to you. If it's in bad shape, congratulations. If it's not in bad shape, I want to know how come other streets aren't getting done. No, I think our highway department's been doing a superb job with what they have to work with. So anyway, okay, then we're going to get into all the miscellaneous, and we'll see where these go. It could be interesting, but okay, that's all there is. I want to put this meeting to bed, this video to bed. I'm done, and because I got to get this up and running, and then get ready for the Board of Selectmen meeting that's going to start in an hour. I might not get this one published until after. We shall see. I don't know. I have no idea. All right, let me go back to here. Okay, so again, I want to thank you for listening and being here and watching my videos. And again, like I always ask, if you want to subscribe, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It really helps the algorithm, as well as liking my videos. And don't forget to share. Share this, send this to your friends and neighbors and social media, wherever you are. And it really helps. So, and what it does is it helps this video become more available to more people and help, as I say, spread the good word. Okay, I want to turn the music back on. Where is it? Is this it? You like that? I like this one. I think it's better than the other one. All right, so I will see you later. Have a good evening.